Hi, everyone. Welcome to our production Power Moves with Celtx webinar. It looks like we've got most people who are going to join us now in the studio, in the webinar. Sorry. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Just to let you know, this webinar is going to be going through our film and TV episodic productions here at Celtx and showing you some of our hidden tips and tricks. Not necessarily hidden, but not always the most obvious things to see. So just to get started, we'll have a little bit of housekeeping and introductions here. Then we're going to go through that episodic project and ask questions, answer questions. We'll have some time at the end to clue up with some final questions and then just some closing remarks. So if you've attended one of our webinars before, you may remember us saying, we'll answer your questions at the end. We've using our submitted questions first, and then we'll get to your questions at the end. This one's going to be a little different. So as I'm going through the project, I'll be pausing and waiting for questions from the audience. So if you do have a question about that part of the project that I'm in at that time, so if I'm showing you, say, the script and you have a question about the script, feel free to use the Q&A feature to ask that question at that time. We do still have that 20 minutes at the end. So if you come up with a question later on, or if after seeing everything work together, you have some questions about that, we should have time to get to those. So if you have questions in the moment, feel free to ask them. I will pause at the end of each sort of segment, answer any questions that may have come up, but then we'll also have that time at the end. Now, if you have like just sort of general comments you want to make, we do have that chat feature there for you to go ahead and leave those there. We are asking that you keep your questions on topic. So if you have questions about your own personal instance of Celtx, something that you maybe are having problems with or anything like that, that's more a support question. And we ask that you send those to our support team at support@celtx.com. If you have questions about filmmaking in general, that's not really the topic of this webinar. We do have webinars every month, and we will probably have one on whatever topic you're interested in. And certainly after this webinar, we will send out a survey where you can tell us what topics you're interested in. But for this webinar, we're going to be focusing on the features of Celtx and some of the things that will help you power up your productions. And just to let you know who we all are. So I'm Dara. You've met me in other webinars, quite likely, or have spoken to me in a training session or something like that. I'm a training manager here at Celtx. And Chelsea is going to be asking your questions for you. So she's going to be helping me manage those. And Chelsea also works in our training. And then we have Nicole, who's on our marketing team and always helps out with the webinars and is just like a webinar guru. So she's good here managing the slideshow right now. And then in the Q&A, you'll be talking to Chelsea and Junior, and in the chat, you'll be talking to Laura and Marcel. So if everyone is ready, we're going to go ahead and get started. Just bear with me for 1 second while I share my screen. There we go. So this is your standard Celtx studio. As you can see, I have 2 projects here. One is a film and TV episodic, and one is our multi-column AV episodic. We will be going through the film and TV episodic today. If, however, you do have questions about multi-column AV, we may have time to get to those at the end, so please do hold on to those. In the meanwhile, the difference between an episodic project and a single episode project is just the number of episodes. So if I open up this project, you'll see my drop down here. I have episodes 1, 2, and 3. In a single episode project, you just have episode 1. And if you're on an episodic plan or one of our pro plans, you have the opportunity to add a new episode. We've decided to show you the episodic project just to help you understand some of the master files that come along with them. This is not going to be like a very general overview. I'm going to be digging into some of our really power moves that are here. So if you have general questions, again, we may have time to get to those at the end. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time in the script, but not a lot, because there's just a few features I want to show you in there. And one of those is our commenting feature. So if I open up my script, right now I have this script shared with Chelsea, and I am working away on the script, and there's something I want to mention to Chelsea. So maybe I'm going to highlight down the road toward the farmyard, go into my comments, add a comment at Chelsea. And you can see Chelsea's just opened the script and her little icon is up here. What do you think of using the road outside Mount Sile Farm? Something like that. So I'll add that comment, and then Chelsea will actually be able to reply to that comment. And we'll just give her a second to do that, and you'll see it show up on the screen here. While we're waiting for that, I'll just show you that under your comments, you have the ability to see all comments, the ones that just mention you, or the comments that are resolved. I'm just going to refresh the screen. And as you can see, when I don't have the comments open, that highlight disappears. But the minute I open it again, there's our highlight. And here's Chelsea's reply. She says she loves that idea. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and mark this comment resolved. I also have the ability to color comments. So you can see it naturally came up in that blue color, but I do have the ability to change that color. So I can make that red. I can make it any color I want. So in this case, I'm just going to resolve it. And now when I open the comments again, you'll see I don't see that highlight anymore. However, if I go into resolved comments, there it is. So you can always use that tool when you're working together with someone else writing a script. You can use that tool to communicate with each other about the script, about your planning for the script, anything along those lines. It's a really great tool to keep your team all on the same page. The other thing I wanted to show you in the script that some people aren't aware of is the history of the script. So a lot of people know that we do have script history and we save all of your versions of your script. However, you also have the ability here in your history, which is available under File. If I just do that again, we'll go File, History, and you can see this. So this will store my history right back to the beginning of time when I first started this script. And I'll see all of my saves and they'll be available by day. Couple of things that are really neat in this history is the ability to favorite a version. So say you're taking a little change in the storyline and you want to remember the last place where you kind of had before you made that change. You can always just favorite that version. So later on, if you want to come back and revisit that, you can go back and take a look at the changes that you made. The other thing you have available to you is the ability to change the name of a version. So if I came in here, I could call this version 1. And then when I view my history, I always know that this is my version 1. 3 days from now, I may have a version 2. We may have made some changes in between. It's really easy for me to come back, see version 1. So those are just a couple of really neat features there. Before I continue on, did anyone have any questions about the script and screenplay? I don't see any coming in. All right, so I will go ahead and move on to our index cards. And just to point out, if I go back out here to my project view, you can see all of the files that come along with my project. I have the screenplay, the index cards, the breakdown, catalog, budget, shot list, schedule, call sheets. And then down here, I have my master files. So those include my catalog, my cast and crew, my budget, and my schedule as master files for the episodes. I'm going to quickly go into index cards and just, oh, hold on. We do have a question. Chelsea, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, we had a couple questions come
Okay.
in. So the first one was from Suzanne. She asks, does this apply to all the versions of Celtx? So I'm thinking talking about the history.
Possibly. So, Susan, if that was the history you were asking about, if you're using our basic free version of Celtx, then you don't have the file history for your screenplay, but any of our paid versions do have that available. Yeah. And was there another question, Chelsea?
Yes. The next question was, what's the difference between a script and a screenplay?
Okay, so within Celtx, we call our film and TV script our screenplay. Our multi-column AV script is multi-column AV, or here around the office, we call it MCAV for short. So a script can refer to any genre of script. However, if you're talking specifically about something meant for film, you may call it a screenplay. If you're talking specifically about something meant for video, you may call it a video script. If you're talking specifically about something meant to be acted on a stage, you will probably call it a stage play, but they are all scripts. So we'll use the words interchangeably sometimes. I may say screenplay, I may say script. They basically mean the same thing. And it looks like that's it for the questions. Unless I'm wrong, Chelsea, it looks like we're done.
You're good.
Awesome. All right. So the next thing I wanted to show you was the index cards. And I'll just give you a quick peek in the screenplay what the index cards look like. So you can see here, if I open my index cards on this side toolbar, I can see a bunch of blank index cards here. What happens is for every scene that you have in your script, you get a scene holder that can hold multiple index cards. So we have two kind of ways that our index cards work. We have our linked index cards, and then we have our unlinked index cards. And for this episode, I don't have any unlinked index cards. I don't have any index cards. However, if I go to my episode 2 and open my index cards, and now you can see what it looks like in the full document instead of just on that sidebar. You can see this episode so far has one scene only, and I've got a bunch of index cards here. And what I've done is I've broken down this scene. So there's multiple ways you can use index cards. For a full big feature, people will use one index card per scene or event even. There may be scenes that happen in between index cards, but this is how you're planning the beats of your story. So you would create an index card, and then what you can do is you can create scenes from those index cards. For my purposes here, what I've done is I've thought about this scene and all the things that I want to have happen in it. And I know that I want my camera moving from one character to another as this scene takes place, because this is a confrontation and I want to build up that tension. So what I've done is I've used the tags on my index cards to tag which character the camera should be focusing on when that person is talking or when that event is happening in this scene. This is just one way you can use index cards. You can use them multiple different ways. But as you can see, MG is Miss Gulch in this. AE is Auntie M. I have Uncle Henry. I have Dorothy. This is the Wizard of Oz. Anyone who's seen it should recognize those names. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've planned it out. I've tagged it with the names of the people who will be in that particular part of the scene. And the first person in the tag is the person that the camera is going to be focusing on. And what that does is I can apply color to each one of those. So if I moved Dorothy to the front here, then you can see this card will change to yellow. If I add another character name, let's say we added Hank, is going to show in this one. I can assign a color to that. And then if that were the front one, the card would change color. So you can see this is how you can sort of use those tags to plan out what you want to do. So I said, I want my camera moving between characters. So one of the things I can do then is take this and go, okay, I want this to happen up here. So we see Miss Gulch. Now we're going to see Dorothy. Now maybe we're going to see Uncle Henry. And I can rearrange my cards using those colors as a guideline. Once I have that all planned out, I can then move those over here. And I'm not going to move them all. I'm just going to show you how that works. And then when I go into my script, they'll be available over there on my sidebar so I can reference them while I'm writing that scene. So that's one way you can use index cards. And you see, here's my linked cards. So I can reference these now while I'm writing this scene and make sure I have everything in the order I want it to be in. The other way you can use index cards is to have one card per scene. So I'm going to move a bunch more of these over. So we only have a few here and we don't have a lot of cards turning into scenes. I'll just move. There we go. So now I have these 4 cards left over. I'm going to click edit and then create scenes. And sorry, I have a toolbar in the way. And click OK. And what it'll do is it'll take each of these cards and turn them into a scene for me. It's processing them. This can sometimes take a while, but we'll go out here and see if it's worked yet. Normally at the end of that process, it'll tell you it's done and you can go to your script. Okay, so they haven't. There we go. Click here to go to your script. Refresh. I jumped the gun a little. So now I can use my navigation. And here we go. Miss Gulch encounter. Sorry, done. Bear with me for one moment. Okay, we'll come back to that shortly. I'm just having a loading issue here on my side. Before I continue on out of index cards, Chelsea, it looks like we have some questions.
Yeah, we just had one question. Do you create the index cards before writing the script?
So that really depends. If you're using the index cards to sort of plan your beats, and you're going to be using them to create scenes, then obviously you do want to use them before writing the script. You can also use them after you've got the script started, though. So like in that scenario that I was giving, I knew I had this scene I wanted to do with an encounter with Miss Gulch, but I wasn't really sure how I wanted that to play out, what order I wanted that to happen in. So I start my scene with Miss Gulch, then I go into my index cards and I start using those to plan that. So it really depends on how you're using them. If you're really trying to get sort of a big picture, they're great for that, but they're also really great for just planning those small moments in a scene. I hope that answers your question. Any more questions, Chelsea?
Nope, it was just that one.
All right, perfect. So we will move on to the breakdown. And I'm going to go back to my episode 1. So in Celtx, the breakdown and the catalog and the budget all work very close together. So the breakdown, if I open it up, will give me a read-only version of my script in which I can highlight the items that I want to add to my catalog and that I need to break down within my script. One of the things that Celtx does really well is it auto tags your characters for you. So if you have something in your script that is formatted as a character, like in this first scene, Dorothy is, then we will auto tag that. We won't tag off screen or off camera because the reason we're tagging this is to make sure that person shows up on shoot day down the road when we get to call sheets. So we may not tag those necessarily. Now that is always, however, available under your breakdown settings. So under Edit, Breakdown Settings, I can turn off my automatic character tagging, or I can also turn on my automatic character tagging for voiceover off-screen or off-camera characters. So that gets my characters in there, but then I need to highlight my props, my set dressing, my locations, all of that need to be added. So there's two ways to add things to my breakdown. I can highlight, and I'll just go down here, and we have the incubator. So I'll highlight that. That is going to be a prop. So I'll select props. And I probably have an existing item for that. So I'm going to select my existing item. And I'm going to tag that. So now it'll be over here on the side. My incubator is available to me. What I can do from here is open that up. I can add an image. I can add a description. Or I can view the item in the catalog. I'll show you that in just a moment. Before I do that, though, there are always things in your scenes that you need that are not going to be mentioned directly in the script. For instance, Toto is in this scene. So if Toto's in this scene, I'm going to need Toto's animal handler. So I can put in the name of Toto's animal handler, which we'll just say is John Smith. He's going to be available under, we'll call him under animals. And you can see I don't have anything else there. I could also select him under in my cast and crew catalog, but I'm going to put him in here. So now I have him added. And if I go out to that, I can again add a description, add an image. But I also have the ability to open any of these things in my actual catalog. So for the instance of Toto, I've already added an image, view the item in the catalog. And you can see here, I have the ability to put in a lot more information. So I have the ability to put in the description. I can put in specific tags or comments. I also have the ability to start budgeting. So I can budget right here within my catalog. Now I don't have to, I can do my budget fully in my budget. However, we did have someone ask in the pre-submitted questions if you can budget with just a script. And this is how you would do it. So you would go through your script, you would highlight everything you need, and you would add that to your catalog. And then from your catalog, you can start adding those items into the budget. So in this case, we're renting Toto for 4 weeks at $50 a week. Obviously, that's probably not what actually happened for the movie, but that's an example. You can see that for all of these accounts that are created for the item, you have sub-accounts. So the way to move something into your budget from your catalog is to select that sub-account. So if I have another one here for maybe I need transport fees for Toto, and they're going to be $450, say, I can add that. And maybe I have food, and I'm going to make that daily. And I also have the ability here, if I had gone out to my catalog, to add global rates, which I did in this case. So I've decided to sign Toto up for a dog food delivery service, which is $20 a day. You can see my description says daily dog food delivery. And I'm going to need that for 4 days, say. So I'll put that in. And then you can see my totals are updating here. It'll also update my grand total up here for the budget, which I can see there in my catalog. And then if I go out to my budget itself, I'm just going to close down some of these. And I go to animals. You can see I have my food and stabling with my $20 global rate. I have the transport that I added And then up here under rentals, I have my rental rate for Toto that were added. So all of those are now appearing in my budget. Before I get into some of the specifics of budget, we'll just go back to the catalog for a moment. And just to give you an idea, I'm going to switch between two screens kind of quickly here. So we have our catalog, and our catalog contains items. So of course, some people would not like to call animals items, but you get the idea. The catalog contains basically props, set details, wardrobe, makeup, things like that. And then we also have our cast and crew. In an episodic project, you'll see the cast and crew under your master files. If this was a single episode project, it would be up here next to your catalog. So the cast and crew contains all of your people. And one of the handy things with cast and crew is that for my characters that I have, my characters are tagged in my breakdown because they are a story item. They're not actually people. The actors are the people. The actors go in the cast and crew catalog. So if I want to tag an actor to a specific character, I would do that either in my catalog under the character or in cast and crew under the cast name. So in this case, you can see Bert plays the lion, and he's been tagged to the lion role. Now, when the call sheet is created and the lion is tagged in that scene, we know that Bert's going to have to show up on set that day. And you'll see that just a moment down the road. In the meanwhile, let's go back to our catalog, which is right here. And under character, we have Aunt M. So I don't have anyone for her. I'm going to add a new cast member. And her name was Clara Blinkford, I believe, was the woman who played. So now I've added a new cast member. If I go into cast and crew, we'll close out of Bert here, and you can see here's my entry for Clara. Clara plays Aunt M. I can add an image for Clara. Which fortunately, Blandick, sorry, that's her name. I knew I had that last name wrong. So I can add her image. And there she is. And I can put in a lot more information for both my actors and my characters. One of the things that people don't realize for our character sheets is that if you're the type of person who's writing a script that is character centric, so it's all about character development, and we know those kind of like coming of age stories, not a lot necessarily happens in them, but it's all about the development of the character, then one of the really handy things we do have available is this character sheet in your catalog. You could actually start here instead of starting in your script, because what this will do is it'll walk you through, give us a physical description of this character. Tell us their distinguishing features, their weight, their height. Give us their character traits. What are their distinguishing traits? What's their goal? What's their plan? Tell us about their cultural background, their vices, their virtues, their likes and dislikes. So you can actually use this character sheet to plan out your entire character before you even start writing. And then in the cast and crew, you'll see we have additional details, but those are about things like that actor's physical description, that actor's wardrobe sizes for your wardrobe department, and then of course your budget for your actor, which we went through earlier, how to add that. We can also add their availability, so we know what dates they're available to contract with us to start and finish with this project. So when we go to schedule them, we'll be able to look at that and know, okay, we can't schedule them for that day because they're not actually available. Before I continue on, were there any questions about any of that? Catalog, cast and crew. I will go into the budget a little more depth in a moment. Okay, looks like no questions. All right, so hopefully everyone is still fascinated by all of this. So once you've done your breakdown, you've added your items to your catalog, you can start budgeting. Of course, With your budget, there are things that are not going to be in your breakdown, like story rights, things like that. But in terms of getting a general budget for your film, that is one way that you can do it. You can just do your breakdown, and from your breakdown in your catalog, go directly into your budget. With the budget, there's a lot of functionality, and it can get a bit extreme to look at. We'll take a look at some of the things you can do. So you'll notice up here, it says it's in United States dollars. One of the very first things you can do is add another currency. So if you're filming in 2 different countries, say, you can always add, we'll do Canadian for our sakes. And I can put in my conversion rate. Now, we don't do your conversion rate automatically because we don't know. You could be making this budget for something you're shooting 6 months down the road. Your expenses aren't going to come up till 6 months down the road. So it's best that we let you lock in your exchange rate at the time that you need it. But we'll say 0.8. And what that'll do then is it'll give me my budget in both the US dollar as well as the Canadian dollar. So I can compare, contrast, see how much I'm going to be spending in each country kind of thing. The other thing you'll notice earlier, I added that dog food global rate that I had created. So you have 2 things available to you that you can create right off the start. You have globals and you have fringes. Globals are for things like extras. All of your extras earn the same daily rate. So paid per day, we'll put that in at daily, and it's $250. This will be done in the currency of the first currency you have selected, which when you first open your budget, it'll ask you what currency you want to use. So when you're applying your globals, just remember that you're applying them in your first currency. Once you apply them, it will convert to your other currency if you have other currencies added. So that's a global rate. And then you also have global units. So one of the things I added here was, when you're renting a location, you always do a 3-day standard contract for this production because you want to be able to come back and pick up some extra filming there. So you always rent a location for 3 days. So anytime there's a location added, they're going to put that in for 3 days. And you just, same kind of thing, you hit this plus symbol, you put in the name, the description, and then whatever the unit is. Then in your budget, you can apply those. So you saw me do that earlier with dog food. I'm going to do it now with, going to cast, actors. I'll add a new actor, and we'll give them the extra rate. So I'll put myself in here. Daily. I'm going to select this rate. I have myself under an actor, but I'm an extra, and I'm going to be working for 4 days using that rate, and it'll give me my estimated. I then have the ability to put in my actual, my paid, and then it'll tell me my payable. So maybe I got my actual is going to stay at 1,000. Maybe I was given a $250 signing bonus, which will come off my first day of work. And now I've got my $750 still payable. If my actual had been higher, then I would get that variance show up. So now you can see my variance is 250. I'm 250 in the red because my actual cost was $250 more than my estimated. A couple of the other things you have in the budget are the fringes. So the fringes allow you to apply percentage rates. So for that extra, let's say, we have to pay union fees. And it's 4%, and my cutoff is 2,500. Okay, so now if I come in here, I can apply those union fees, and it'll calculate for me how much my fringes are going to be for this actor. Your accountant will love that if you're able to do that. So as you can see, I can add things in the budget itself, or I can add them via the catalog and have them show up. The big thing to be aware of when you're adding via the catalog is that if I don't select this sub account, it's not going to show in my budget. So in this case, Auntie M is a principal. I'm going to add her. I don't even need to put in the rate right now. I just want to make sure that I see her in my budget. So I've added her as a principal. If I go back to my budget, and we'll go to the actors again. Here's Auntie M. And now I can put in the rate if I want. So I didn't have to do it in the catalog, but at least I have her appearing now in the budget. Any questions about any of that so far? No, looks like we don't have any. Chelsea, can you just confirm?
No questions at
Nothing?
this point.
All right, perfect. So once you have a full budget completed, you do have the ability to create various reports from it. You can do your top sheet report, which is just kind of like for each category, how much are you spending? This is obviously not a proper full budget here, but you can see how there's my cast allowance that I put in there. You also have your details report, which will show you, okay, here's the amounts you've applied to each category within that. And then you have a pie chart. Obviously, your pie chart should not look like this. You shouldn't have 100% in production. It will break down into your pre-production, your post-production, and your production costs. And you can actually drill down into that and see where you're spending all of your money. So you can see all of my money is being spent on actors. Me. We also have a rate report, which will show me every time I've applied a rate. And I can select, my flat rates, my hourly rates, my daily or my weekly, and then similar for the fringes. So anywhere where I've applied a fringe, I'll get a report showing that. So these are really handy, when you're first trying to create a budget for your film and get some investors, you want to do that estimated budget, then you can give them that top sheet report and you can give them that pie chart and show them how you have your expenditures planned to show them that you're a savvy business manager. Yeah, we have a question, Chelsea.
Yes, we have one about fringes. So does Celtx update latest fringes for union fees? For example, SAG, DGA, etc.
Right. So we do not have those automatically pulled in. One of the things about Celtx is because we are a global company and we have users all around the world, if we started pulling in, like, say, SAG, then we'd have to look at every country in the world and what their acting unions are and what their rates are. So we do make you do a little bit of the footwork there and look up the rates yourself for your own area. But once you apply it in the budget and just set that fringe, you can then apply it to every single person after that. So it's a really quick and easy way to get that amount added in there. Were there any other questions?
Nope, it was just that one.
All right, perfect. So that's the budget. And the one other thing I did not show you was the ability to customize your budget. So as you can see, this can be very unwieldy, especially if you're not used to doing film budgeting. There's some things here that we include automatically. And if that's kind of a bit overwhelming for you, or if you just want to focus on one area, you can always come in here and customize your budget. And that'll allow you to turn things off and on. So maybe you don't want to show, say, a particular field, you don't want to show a particular subcategory, you can turn those on and off. Bear with me for one moment. You can also rename categories and add new numbers to them. So you can always add in, if we don't have exactly what you need, you can come in here and you can add a new category. You can change these numbers. So these are your standard Hollywood film production budget numbers, but maybe you're using something different. You can change these. You can change the titles, and you can turn them off so they don't even appear. Maybe if I turn off story rights altogether, I'll hit OK. And then I'm not going to see that at the beginning of my budget anymore. So if I just want to be doing the budget for my props, I can turn off every category except that, work on that, get that done, and then I'm not so overwhelmed looking at this page and all of these sub accounts. If it's your first time budgeting, it can definitely be a little bit overwhelming. Yes, Chelsea.
Yes. So to share information, does the investor need to be on Celtx?
No. So you do have the ability to download your budget. You have the ability to export it to a CSV. All of these reports that you create, you can print these off and send them out. Or you can, again, export to CSV. In some of our plans, some of our more advanced plans, you have the ability to actually create a shareable link. So what you could do is just send them that link. They don't need to sign up for a Celtx account, but that gives them a read-only version of your budget. And then finally, of course, yes, you can add them to your Celtx team, you can add them as a collaborator, and you can share the budget with them. If you want them to be able to edit it, yes, you do want to share it with them in Celtx, unless, of course, you want to export to CSV and all of that. But if you want them to be able to edit it here in Celtx, you would need to have them sign up for a Celtx account, share it with them. But if they just need to view it, you have a number of options for showing it to them. I hope that answers your question. Was there another one, Chelsea? Or?
Oh, that was great. Thank you, Dara.
That was great. Okay. Before I continue on, in the catalog, speaking of exporting to CSV, there's a really handy sort of hidden feature that a lot of people don't know about called import catalog. So this is really helpful if you're doing multiple productions, and especially if you're reusing the same actors, or the same props, or the same locations. What I can do, there's two different sort of ways I can import a catalog. So I can actually import from another project, or I can import from a CSV. So if I already have a spreadsheet of all of my actors, I can import that. Or if I'm reusing some actors from another project, I can select that project, and then I have the ability to import my entire catalog, or I can just select particular items. So in this case, maybe I'm going to select a couple of locations. Hit OK. And then they will add to my catalog. And here they are. So instead of having to put in the same information over and over again, I can add in things from that I've already done the data entry for. And again, you also have that ability to import from a CSV. I do recommend, if you're going to do that, that what you do first is export a CSV of one of our catalogs, even if there's nothing in it, just so that you get all of the headings correct, so that our system knows how to import correctly according to the headings. Yes, Chelsea.
Okay, so can someone who has rights to handle the budget or other areas on one project be restricted from this on another project, or are the rights on roles global?
Right. So the rights, the sharing permissions in Celtx are on a per project basis. Even in our team accounts, which are available to our pro studios, where you actually import members into your studio and you all share one studio, which is a little different from the collaboration that our individual teams have, where you each have your own studio and you're sharing projects. No matter what kind of account you're in, your sharing is done per project. The only people who ever have access to anything within a project are the people that you explicitly add to it using the share button. So if I add someone, I share the budget for this project with them, I don't have to share the budget for the other project with them. In this case, I have Chelsea here to both projects. If I come in here, it says shared with Chelsea. I can remove her from this project. And it's telling me success, but I might need to refresh my screen. Sorry, I probably refreshed too early. There we go. Now she's gone. So now it's just me on this project. Chelsea's shared on this project. I do have the ability to determine like what things she can see. So if I went into here and hit this little key, then, you know, maybe I don't want her seeing my budget at all. I can hide that from her. I can have her able to read the catalog, cast and crew, and then everything else she can actually write on. And so that'll determine exactly how she is able to access anything in my account. So yeah, you don't need to have someone have access to all of your budgets. They can have access to just the one budget for one project. Hope that answers the question. Were there any more questions there, Chelsea, or are we good?
That's all for now.
That's all for now.
Wait, we just
Awesome.
had one come in.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That's
can
fine.
can you share permission per episode or only per project?
So right now, it is only per project. However, you should all be very excited about an update we'll have coming soon, which will allow episodic permissions. So you could share, you know, just episode 3 and not episodes 1 and 2. That should be coming. I'm not going to make promises. It should be coming by the end of the year. You will absolutely 100% see an announcement about it when it is released, because we're all really excited about it here. It's also going to change the way you navigate within a project a little more. You can see every time I wanted to open something, I had to go back to that project view. So once we release this update, your project view will actually be available over here on the side. So if I'm in the script, I can quickly go to the shot list or the schedule over here on the side. Like I said, that's coming towards the end of this year, maybe early next year. You will absolutely see a little red dot up here under your bullhorn, and it will tell you all about it right here. So anytime we have something big we want you to know about, we are going to put it in this bullhorn. You'll probably also see a video pop up down here announcing it. Are we good on questions?
Yes, I think we're good now.
Perfect. So you guys got the inside scoop on that, but we're all really excited to have that come out. So time check. I'm going to quickly go through the shot list schedule and call sheets, and then we can take some more questions if there are any. So the shot list, somebody had asked if you can link your shot list and storyboard. As you can see, I have a storyboard up here. This is actually a story planning tool. So this allows me to plan out my story in the same way that my index cards do, but in a more visual way. But we also do have a storyboard-like tool in your shot list. So if I open my shot list, you can see I have a shot highlighted here. And the shot list works just like the breakdown. Every time I want to add a shot, I would highlight it, and then I can start setting my information. So all of these fields have available drop downs with things you can select, but you can also type in your own. So maybe we want to do, I don't know, we'll do a high close-up. I am totally making that up because we have all of the available options. But now that's an option and I can add it to future shots. So if I have my own specific kind of shot lingo I'm using, I can use that. I have the ability then to add an image here. So I can add what I want this shot to look like. Now, my options are to use my library of images, which are the images that I've uploaded to any of my projects. I can do a web search, or I can upload an image. Once I upload an image, it shows up in my library of images. When I do a web search and add an image, it will show up in my library of images. So I can reuse that image again and again. What that looks like in here, you can see, here's the image added. So I've done all the selection. I've gone through, decided what I need to make this shot. I've put in my equipment and I've added an image. So then if I come out to view shot list report, you can see here I have sort of my storyboard set out for me. I know what kind of shots I'm trying to capture for each of these. So this kind of does tie together a storyboard-like functionality with your shot list. It's not the same as in our storyboards itself, where you have the shot blocker and all of that, but you can always create your shot blocks in your storyboard and then add them to your shot list as an image. Just take a screenshot of it. So just to show you what I meant by that was in our storyboards itself, you have the ability to add an image or a shot block, which uses some clip art to let you plan out how you want your cameras and people to appear. So I can put in, I've got a cow, let's say, and I'll move that cow down here. I accidentally added two. I want it to be a left orientation, and I want there to be person. So this will be Dorothy. She'll be right here, and she's running in the other direction. So she's running away from the cow, and then I can start putting in my Blondie, say, and a dolly, and a dolly track. So I'm going to follow her as she runs away from the cow. So I can plan all of that out. Now, if I wanted to use this in my shot list, I can just take a screenshot of this and upload this as the image in my shot list. So that's your shot list functionality. And again, let's go back to, we'll close this out. We'll close this out. Here we are, sorry. So you can add all of these. You don't have to use them all. And one of the other handy things you have here is the ability to save a setup. So you can put in setup A, setup B, etc. And then later on in your schedule, you can look at what setup you're using and be able to plan your shoot according to that. So we'll look at that in just a moment. But before I go on, Chelsea, were there any questions about the shot list?
Not at this time.
Okay, perfect. So I'm really excited to show everyone the schedule. This is like one of my favorite features of Celtx. So in an episodic production, you'll see there's
Not to interrupt you, but we did get a question come in.
All right, that's good.
Better than move on. Has Celtx upgraded storyboard? When I used the storyboard earlier this year on a project, there was a huge delay in uploading before it appeared in the library. Also, it took a lot of time to scroll through.
That is not necessarily typical. We have been doing ongoing updates to all of our sort of data handling to make things run faster and quicker and not clog you up while you're processing things. So it shouldn't be an issue any longer, but certainly I encourage you to go ahead, give it a try. And if you run into an issue, please email our support team because we need to know these things and then we can address them. Throughout the year, though, we have been doing regular upgrades to our data handling to make things always run as fast as we can. And that is a constant goal of ours, to just make things work for you faster and faster so that you don't have to wait for anything to load or have any problems scrolling through things. Any other questions?
Yes, we had one more. How about drawing storyboards?
So, drawing storyboards is not available in your online studio. You can, of course, draw an image anywhere else and upload it to your studio. We are hopefully going to add it. And if you did have the Shots app for your iPhone, then there was a feature on that where you can add in, you can draw directly into it. So you may have come across that. We definitely have that on our feature list of things we'd like to do to make it possible for you to draw directly in, but I cannot give you a date on when that would happen right now. Certainly, if you're interested in any of those particular features, again, I always encourage people, write into our support team. If you write in about a feature that we don't currently have, maybe it's one we haven't even thought of. Our support team will either add you to a feature request list or create a new feature request if it's one we haven't thought of. And then the minute we release that feature, you will get a notification from our support team to let you know that it is now available to you. Are there any other questions, Chelsea?
No, we are all clear for now.
All right, awesome. So we're at 3 o'clock. I want to quickly show everyone the schedule and the call sheets. So with episodic productions, you have a schedule and you also have a master schedule. Your episodic schedule, so the one tied to each schedule here under the shoot function, is going to show you one view of your schedule, and your master schedule is going to show you the whole schedule for all episodes. So some people do sometimes get a little confused by this. If I go into my schedule here in episode 1, you can see I have strips here from episode 3. Why are they appearing in my episode 1 schedule? Well, that's because those are already scheduled. So I've already scheduled some of my episodes. I've set my shoot date and I've put my strips in there. I've even put in little banners to show me that I need to move my set and I need to take a meal break and things like that. Because when I'm scheduling this episode strips, I may be interested in filming them at the same time as I'm filming another episode strips. Maybe I'm reusing a location. So I'm filming things from episode 1, 2, and 3 all at the same time. You're going to see any scheduled episodes, any strips from scheduled episodes, as well as your strips from this particular episode in your episodic schedule. I know that can be a little confusing. So in episode 1, I'm going to see all my strips for episode 1, as well as any currently scheduled strips from any episode in this project, not in other projects. In my master schedule, I'm going to see all of my episodes, scheduled and unscheduled. These up here are scheduled strips because they have an end of day banner at the end of them. These are unscheduled strips. As you can see, we pick up the coloring according to your scene heading. So I have exterior morning is going to be yellow. Exterior night is going to be green. Interior morning is white. Interior night is blue. I don't have one there, but that's the color it would be. So it's always going to show you your episode number, your scene number. It's going to give you the breakdown of your scene heading. It's going to tell you what pages you're on, how many page 8s, your location, if you planned one yet in your breakdown, your set, if you added one in your breakdown, the duration you can enter here. And this is going to pick up basically how long you plan on shooting this scene. So, there's a rule of 1 page per minute on screen, but obviously 1 page can take a lot longer than a minute to shoot. So depending upon your scene, you would schedule the duration to shoot that scene. And if you have a lot of scenes that are kind of similar to each other, you have the ability to add a scene summary. You can add that in your breakdown, or you can add it here, and it'll give you an idea of, okay, beyond the scene heading, what's happening in this scene. If there's a car crash, then obviously it's going to take me a lot longer to film this one than just a conversation between 2 people. Someone brought up, I don't know how familiar everyone is with Gilmore Girls, but you'd be shooting Gilmore Girls pretty quick because of how fast they talk to each other. So if it's just a conversation, that might be a quick shoot, one of those scenes. You'll also see all of your characters listed. And one of the handy things you can do is you can organize your strips that are unscheduled according to the various headings that you have up here. So if I wanted to take these 4 strips and I wanted to sort them by interior, exterior, as you can see, I have exterior, exterior, interior, exterior. If I do this, they're going to change. So I have my interior scenes and then my exterior scenes. I can then also sort by, say, my characters. So that'll sort by, well, she's in all of them, so that didn't help. We'll sort by, I'll just move this one down here, and we'll sort by character. Hickory. So you can see now it's moved them. So Dorothy and Hickory are there. Dorothy's down here. These 3 scenes all contain Hickory. So they're going to be the ones appearing first. If I change the order, well, I'd have to change both orders, but you can see my order will change. So you have the ability to sort this and decide how you want your schedule to appear before you add your end of day strip, which you do just using this. So now that'll schedule my next end of day. It'll tell me how many pages I have scheduled for that day. If I added my durations, it would add those up for me. These little banners you see here for meal breaks and moves, you can add those by just using the add banner button. You can duplicate a strip if you're going to be shooting it over 2 days, perhaps. You can always duplicate it and put it in 2 days. We also have the ability to manage day breaks, so you can just like automatically put in a day break every 4 strips. And a couple of the other things you have available to you in this schedule are the ability to export to a Google Calendar, as well as in our more advanced plans, again, you have the ability to add shooting units. So if you're creating a schedule for more than 1 unit, you can manage shooting units. And that way you can have 2 units working at the same time, and you can apply them here. And you can schedule your days accordingly. So that's your episodic single episode schedule. If I go out to and I'll take questions in just a moment on this. Oops, make sure I did the save. If I go out to my master schedule, it has all the same functionality in terms of the sorting, the adding the day breaks, etc. But I'm going to see all of my scenes for every episode. And as you can see, in episode 2, I haven't actually done my scene headings correctly. I've just kind of gone through and been like, here's what I want to have happen in this scene. So my scriptwriter is going to have to go back and correct that in order for me to see the scene headings. But just to show you that, you can work on this together at the same time. The scriptwriter can go back now and change these scenes, put in the scene headings, and then you'll see it in your schedule. The other really handy thing that you have available to you is the ability to filter strips. So here's my master schedule. I only want to look at my unscheduled scenes. So what I'm going to do is hide my shoot days that I already have planned. And now I only have my unscheduled scenes. Maybe I don't want to do any scenes using Dorothy. So I can come in here, I can go into characters, I can select hide Dorothy, and those top 2 scenes that had Dorothy in them disappear. So you can see that I can work with this as I want, adjust my view so that it's really comfortable for me. Same as with the budget, you have the ability to customize. And then when I'm done, I can come back in here and I can say, okay, let's show them again. And I want to, and it'll always show you if you have something hidden, you'll see the number next to it. So I have 1 character hidden. Easy way to turn that on and off is just click that all twice. And now I'll have my scenes with Dorothy showing again down here. And obviously there are questions. Yes, Chelsea.
Yes, so we have a couple. With the absence of scene headings in an AV script, is color coding the only way to distinguish, auto-populate, between interior and exterior scenes in the strip board?
Okay, so we'll go out to our multi-column AV. And yes, the way the multi-column AV schedule works is that it works by shot instead of by scene. We don't have scene headings. So if I were to come into my schedule, just so everyone knows what we're talking about here, you can see that I have my shots here instead of, so I know that I'm shot number 16 in episode 1. Now, there's a couple of things you can do, and yes, the color functionality is great. The color functionality lets you set that color on the shot in your script, and then that will carry through into your schedule. The other thing you can do is, bear with me for one moment. Some people will use the setup or the set. So they might under setup say interior, dolly, interior, camera A, interior, whatever, so that they see it that way. But for a quick glance, the best thing to do is use the AV script and color your shots accordingly to how you want it to go. So we'll just open the script and show you that. So I can come in here and change the color, say purple, and then out of my schedule, oops, wrong one. Yeah, I'm not sure where that strip is, but I think it's down here at the bottom. Episode 1. Bear with me for one moment because I have forgotten. So it's episode 1, shot 1. And there it is. So now it's colored in the purple. So you can use that to color it. You can also use, sorry, that's not what I meant to do. Bear with me for one moment. I meant to add a banner. So one of the things I've also seen people use is the ability to add a banner. So they plan their exterior shots, they'll put the banner in, and then when they're ready to start their interior shots, they'll put a banner in saying interior. So that's another functionality you can use. And again, you can use the color coding in here to sort of set the colors. Hopefully that answers your question. And you also have the ability to put it in here. So on your shot list, you'll see those. So you can actually put the scene heading directly in the shot description. And then you'll see it in your shot list when you go to create that. And your shot list for AV looks very similar. So you can see, yeah, I know this is exterior day. I don't have it set in these ones, but you can see this one's interior day. Was there any more questions, Chelsea?
Yep, there was just one.
Yeah.
Do you have to keep exporting to Google Calendar with changes, or is the Google Calendar updated with Celtx calendar updates?
That's actually a really good question. I believe it does update, but it's been a while since I've tried that one out. I don't know if anyone else on the team has an answer for that one. If not, we'll get back to you after the webinar with your answer. Sorry about that. You stumped me. It's not often that happens. All right. It looks like we'll have to get back to you after the webinar with the answer for that one. Sorry about that. I believe it does continue to update as you make changes, but I do want to confirm that before I give you a firm answer on it. Were there any other questions, Chelsea?
Yes, we do have a follow-up on that one.
Yeah.
Is there an HTML embed feature for production/episode calendars?
No, there is not. That is a feature request for sure. So I would encourage you to write into our support team and make that request. I don't think we've had that feature request before. Marcel can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've had that feature request before. Were there any more questions,
No,
Chelsea? Oh.
No, I was going to say, I haven't heard of it. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, for sure. So Marcel said he hasn't, he's a little bit tinny there. So he said he hasn't heard that one before and he thinks it's a good one too. So definitely, whoever asked that question, please write into support@celtx.com and send that in as a feature request so we can get that one logged and let you know. Were there any more questions, Chelsea?
That's it for now.
Awesome. All right. So we're actually running out of time, but I did want to show everyone the call sheets. So I'm going to quickly just show you how the calendar works. Basically, once you have your shoot days scheduled, you come in here, you put in your start days, and it'll rearrange your shoot according to the start days. I'm going to go back out to my schedule for the Wonderful Wizard of Oz instead, because I have less shoot days I'm working with there. So I can change my shoot day. Today is the 28th. I want to start shooting tomorrow. I can also change the days that I actually shoot on. So I can shoot every day of the week. I can not shoot on Wednesdays, etc. If I move this now to next Tuesday, you'll see because I'm not shooting Wednesdays, my second shoot day will move out to Thursday. I also have the ability to add things like move days, days off, etc. So the way that works is all of those things are available up here. A prep day, a day off, and a move day are not things that are associated with particular shooting days usually. They're usually associated with particular days of the week. So, you know, maybe this Saturday is a day off, even though I normally shoot on Saturdays. So if I now move this start day, let's say move it here, that day off is not going to move with it because we don't know. If you had a day off this Saturday, does that mean you have a day off next Saturday? Was the day off because it was the second day of shooting? We don't know why you added that. We'd rather just let you do that yourself. So you can move it if you want, or you can get rid of it. The difference here is the set, shift, and unit move days. So those are always tied to a particular scheduled scenes, right? So if I now move this again, you'll see my unit move will move with my shoot day too. So my set, shift, and my unit move are always tied to my shooting day. You can also export to Google Calendar here or in your schedule itself, just so everyone's aware of that. And again, that's only available with our pro plans. And then once you have all your shoot days scheduled, you get your call sheets. So the great thing about call sheets is that this is where you see the culmination of all that work that we've just done over the last hour and 15 minutes. So all of that breakdown I did, all of those shot lists I did, all the scheduling that I did are now going to be available to me in my call sheets. Here's a call sheet that I had created earlier. You can see it lists my executive team, it lists my production details, I have my location. I don't have a weather forecast on this one because this one was actually for July 15th, 2020. So they're not going to tell me what the weather was that day. I have all of my cast. I have special instructions for them. I have put in transport notes. I have departmental notes. This is one that I already distributed, and that's why I have this little flight icon here showing that I've already distributed it. And I can click that to actually view what the report looked like when I distributed it. So this is what the people who received it saw. Now, if I wanted to create a new call sheet, the very first place I'm going to start is in my template. I've already filled out a lot of information in this template, but I can put in this information and it will show on every day's call sheet. So anything here where you see a plus symbol means I can add things to show to each day's call sheet. My crew notes, they're probably going to be the same every day. No smoking on set, guys. You know, like bring your masks. My scene list, of course, is day by day. My cast list is day by day. My transport notes are something I would want to add day by day. And then advanced will actually show me my next day's shooting schedule. And I can add my crew list. So that cast and crew catalog that I had, I can come in here and add those people to my crew list. And then they're available there. And then I also have my crew grid where I can put in just generic crew members. Well, not always just generic. In this case, I have a generic crew member. And that was one thing that I did want to show you in, you can see, I'm going to go back to the catalog and quickly show you that. So you can see I have a department here called a new department, and that is available to you in your cast and crew. You can change, you can add new department names by just typing them in. So I've skipped over that when I was doing schedule, but if I came in here and let's just open Andrew Martin. He is in the locations department, but I want him to be in the silly department. So that'll save that. And then I can apply it to other people. And you can see it applies right here, the silly department. So there he is. So then I can add him under that department. Obviously, you're not going to have a department called the silly department unless you're shooting Patch Adams and you want to go really in character. Once you have your call sheet done, and again, you have the ability to add a production image in some of our more advanced plans, like our pro plans. You may not see that in your own studio if you have an individual plan. Once you have that done, you can then generate each day's call sheet. You can select your scheduled day. You can select if you're using multiple units, if you want all units, just unit 1, just unit 2. You can have your next day's summary on or off, and then you can create it. And you can see all the information that I added has come through already. My set list is here. My characters that I've tagged are here. I can put in my pickup, hair, makeup, wardrobe, times. I want to go through this pretty quickly. I have the ability then to export these call sheets to either Google Docs or Google Sheets. And I also have the ability to distribute. So when I go to distribute, everyone that I have named on my call sheet, they have an email address added for them in the catalog. I can go ahead and just send this call sheet out to them. I'm not going to do it now because I've made up some of these names. But if I click distribute, what will happen is they'll each get an email, and it'll be an email with this call sheet attached. So that's a quick way to handle your getting your distributions out. So to show you how the weather works, I will go into this one because you can see here. So the weather has shown up here because I had a location tagged, and it's just one day out. So it's given me the weather report. You do need to have that. It needs to be within 10 days. Otherwise, there's no point giving you a weather report. And then we also get our sunrise and sunset times. Chelsea, questions?
Yes, we have one.
Yeah.
For company branding, can I share a master call sheet template across projects / episodes?
So if you apply a master template to one episode, it will be available in other episodes of that project. However, you can't carry through that template to other projects. You would have to recreate it. And that is also a really good feature request. So I would encourage you to please write in to support and mention that feature request. I believe we may already have one logged for that. So we'll add you to the list to be notified. If not, then we'll create a new feature request with your name on it. Are there any other questions, Chelsea?
No, that was all for now.
That was it. Okay, so we're almost out of time. I'm going to really quickly take you down through some of the other reports that you have available to you under your scheduling. So you have your one-line schedule, which is just your copy of the strip board for the day. So if I were to create that, here's my strip board, everything I have planned out. You have your breakdown sheets. So this is where you see all the work from your breakdown. Show. Everything I've added is now available. My departments know what they need to have on set. They're aware of everything, props that need to be brought in to shoot this scene on this day. We have our shot lists. So I think shoot day, no, I didn't do one for shoot day 1. Shoot day 2. it's basically the same as the shot list I showed you in the shot list report. So all the shots that are available in the scenes that I scheduled for that day will show in my shot list report. I have my sides, so that's just, copies of my script for that day, whatever scenes I'm shooting. And then the really handy things I have then are my day out of days report. So I can do this for any category, basically. If I were to select props, say, I could see my start work finish days for everything. This helps keep you on track budgeting wise to make sure you're not, renting a basket, which you need to have available for 7 days when you could have maybe fit all those scenes in one day. If you're using multiple units, you also get a resource conflict report. So it'll tell you everything that's scheduled for various units on various days, and you can get an idea of if you have any conflicts there. And then your final thing is your scene summary report. So this will tell you all of your scheduled scenes, all of your scenes that are unscheduled. And then back in my schedule, I can mark a scene complete once I'm done shooting it. So let's say I've completed these 3 scenes from shoot day 1, but I didn't get this one finished. So make sure that's saved. And then if I come back out here, refresh this. Oh, actually, it's already showing. So you can see my completed scenes are showing there. So I know that those scenes are completed. And that is a pretty decent run through of everything you have available to you and some of our hidden tips and tricks. We have a few minutes for questions. If anyone has any, I will open the floor to those. I know it might take you a moment to type them, so feel free to just take a minute there and I will check in. In the meanwhile, if you do come up with questions after this webinar, or a week down the road, once you start playing with things, our support team is always available. They're great. They answer you really quickly. Someone had also asked about how you can get training on Celtx. So there's a couple of things you can do. Of course, you can attend our webinars. That will sometimes train you on Celtx, sometimes train you on film production in general. We have an amazing help center available, a lot of great articles in there that walk you through how everything works. We also have, I'm just going to go out to here, say, and under help, we have tours available for every segment of your Celtx studio that will walk you through how everything works. And then we also have video tutorials. So they are available. Bear with me. Oh, I have to be in a different type of account to see that, actually. Sorry. But they're available under the help tab in your studio as well. Once you're into a project, if you open that help tab, you'll see the video tutorials right here in your studio. If you click help here, that'll take you out to the help center. If you click blog, you'll see some really great articles there. We also had a question about things a first-time producer needs to know. And I'm going to say right away, I am not a film producer. I've worked with a lot of film producers. And the one thing that is always stressed to me by people I work with is that the producer is the business manager. And that's why it's really important that you stay in communication with your team, which is why things like Celtx really help. And you keep your finger on everything that's going on, which is why these projects and the way you share them really help. So your director is your creative manager, but your producer is your business manager, and the buck stops at the producer. So the producer is the person who needs to make sure that everything is running smoothly, everything is running on budget, everyone is safe. We've all heard in the past week about the incident on the Rust set, and that is a safety issue. And that is something that falls to a production team to make sure they are on top of, and that they have the right people hired and they're following the right safety protocols. You can hire people under you to take care of all of those things, but you need to be making sure that they are doing their jobs at all times. So that always falls to the production team. And our sympathies at Celtx here really go out to everyone involved in that incident. And we really hope that these kinds of things don't continue. So on that note, Chelsea, were there any other questions?
No, I think you must have answered everyone's questions already.
Wow, That's great. So just to let you know how it will proceed from here, shortly after this webinar, you will receive a survey. We would really appreciate you filling that out. It's really quick, just a few questions just about how we did today. And as I mentioned earlier in the webinar, it also gives you a chance to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in the future. So we really encourage you to fill that one out. And then in approximately a week, you'll get a recording of the webinar. Anyone who registered for the webinar, whether they attend or not, will get that recording. So if you have a friend or colleague who registered and wasn't able to attend today, you can let them know their recording is coming. We always just take a little time to edit it and get it looking pretty before we send it out. And then it will also be available on our YouTube and on our blog after we send it out. And if you have anyone who's interested in other topics who didn't attend today, they can always write into us as well and let us know what kind of topics they'd like to see us cover in future webinars. We do run a webinar approximately every month. So we'd love to get your feedback on what you'd like to see. On that note, if there are no questions still, I think I will let everyone go. And we really look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. And please let us know if you have any questions from this one. Again, the email address is support@celtx.com for any questions. Thank you, everyone, and we will hopefully talk to you sometime soon.